Good morning, Pink Girly here with Time to Be Creative. Last weekend I had the opportunity to run into a Tuesday morning. I was visiting my sister in Pennsylvania. Here in New Jersey where I live, I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so when I get into a more populated area where I can run into a store that has some craft supplies, I usually take advantage of that. And so while I was in there, I saw these cute pens, and on the pens there are written things like "Be mermaids, be mermazing." Mermaids have more fun, and secretly a mermaid. They came together in a one package, and I thought, well, gee whiz, I could make a little project out of those. They're just so cute. So I'm going to make a little mermaid travel journal, although the size is much bigger than a travel journal. I started out with my plain paper, and I bought some larger stuff for some journals that I wanted to work on. I just got it at Staples, and I think it's 11 by 14. It's just copy paper weight. It's only, I think, like maybe 20 pounds. So I cut that in half, which gave me this size. And then, let me see if I can find the middle. I cut them in half, so my paper was about like this. So I cut them in half and then folded them in half, which then gave me 5.5 by, I think this is about, let's see, 8.5. 5.5 by 8.5. And then for my cover, I pulled out some paper I had in my stash. It was just a plain pad of paper, different colors, and on camera this looks real blue, but it's more of a teal green color on one side, and then like a light mint green color on the back side. And so I wanted to color this to make it more look like water. So, and then I wanted to color my pages, which you can see some of the coloring here, so I'm going to show you what I did there. And then I found in my one coloring book, let's see, it's called 100 Best Grayscale Coloring Pages by Elena Lazareva. And it's just filled with tons of stuff. Her work is beautiful. Her images are gorgeous. I mean, look at that. And it's more like, I guess you would call this, gosh, I forgot the name of what they call this. It's a very thin weight, copy weight paper. And it's not easy to get good coverage with colored pencil, but the images are amazing. Anyway, so in this book, there was a page of 3 sets of eyes, look like mermaid eyes to me. So I colored the one eye, and that's what I'm going to put on my cover, which I did already glued that on my cover. And then I found some sparkly letters in my stash. So then I'm just going to put some ribbon and put this together quickly so I can take it with me to the co-op this afternoon. So let me show you how I did my pages. I wanted one side to be, oh my. I wanted one side to be more on the plain side, and then the other side a little more dense with color. So I had a little variety in the book. And so I pulled out, I don't have too many of these colors, but I have a fresh lime ink spray and a vibrant turquoise ink spray, and they're by Dilution. Well, I guess they're by Ranger. They're called Dilution ink spray. And so this is what I colored my cover with, and my pages. So I'm just going to show you quickly here. Now I'm going to put up a little board that kind of protects my computer screen as I'm spraying. I'm having trouble with that focus again. And so I just took a plain sheet of that paper, and then I just spritzed it with my sprays however I wanted it. And I even took a fan brush and kind of swirled those colors around. Try to make them look like splashes of water. But I also didn't want my paper here to deteriorate. So once this dried, I covered it with, oh, that looks terrible on the screen. I'll have to see how this turns out. I may not be able to upload. Once this dries, I coated it with a coat of golden matte medium to allow my cover to be a little more durable. And I did that on the back side as well. I used my heat gun because I'm over anxious and I didn't want to wait for it to dry. You can do any kind of design that you want, or you can just leave the spray. But if I spread it out like this, it dried a little quicker for me. And then I just cut this to the size that I needed. So when I folded it, I wanted it to be 6 inches because my pages are 5.5. And then I just trimmed off the top edge to give me a 9 inch by 5.5 cover, and then just folded that in half. So I'm going to put that aside. And then with my pages, I did the same thing. I didn't use the brush. I just let this dry. And like I said, I did want it more intense on one side than the other. And I'm going to use my my heat gun. And with this ink, it does go through this thin paper a little bit, which is okay with me because I wanted it a little bit on the back side, but not as intense as this side. I decided that I wanted 10 pages in the journal, which folded in half then gives me 20 pages. And I don't really have any mermaid type stamps. If I did, I probably would go through the book, through the pages, and stamp some images. Okay, heat gun again. Just going to give this a little hit and put it aside and let it dry for us. Because I want to be able to add those in a few minutes. Now, if you have rubber gloves, it's probably a good idea, or a little plastic gloves that you can art in, because this ink does stain your hand. But I don't like the feeling of working with gloves on my hands, so And like I've said before, it's good to have a box of baby wipes handy. So I'm just going to wipe this up. And now I've used my old craft mat here, because it's a messy project. And probably if I were doing a couple of books, I might go out to my kitchen counter and do this and put out some newspaper to protect the counter. I'm just going to give that a quick little wipe. This is a 2 baby wipe cleanup job. My overspray is out of control. Just want to wipe this up a little bit here. Now I only did the one signature. This is just a small journal. Okay, that's good. So this is kind of, I really don't know how to adjust my colors for this. And I don't know why that's kind of like blurring out today. Oh, there's so much to learn about recording. Okay, so then I cut down my cover so it measures 6 inches by 9 inches. And then I took my other pages. These are still a little damp, but I think I can work with them. I wanted the pages to be every other. So I did some I folded inside out so that the plainer side was on the outside. This page is more intense, so then I'm going to put this around that, and I'm just stacking all my pages. And then this one would be the opposite. Now you can go with any colors that you might have if you have any of this spray in your stash. You could certainly leave your pages plain. You could just do your edges. You could use your ink pad, although I think, especially on the thinner paper, trying to ink the edges would make me crazy. You could use watercolor. You could tea dye your pages. I like when the pages are not flat. They get a little bit of character and texture to them. You could really crumple them up and then uncrumple them, and then take your sponge applicator on your ink pad and just catch the top part of the wrinkled pages. I've done that before. So, and then these pages are going to slip inside our cover. Okay. This is just going to be a simple, because it's one signature and I'm not too concerned. I don't have to match up 3 or 4 signatures and make sure they're all in the book the same way. So I'm just going to do a simple way to connect these pages into the book. And so I just have a little template here that I've used on other journals that I've made. And I just take a piece of cardstock, depending on the size page. I'm going to do 3 holes. And so I've had 3 holes punched in this cardstock. And this, normally I would measure this page and I would have my template be 9 inches like this. But because I don't have to make sure that holes are punched the same for 3 or 4 different signatures, I'm just going to go ahead and do a simple attachment here. You could do 2, I'm just going to do 3. The page is big enough, you certainly could do 5. But like I said, this really is not a big deal. Now I don't have, I didn't even know this existed, but they have a tray, a wooden tray that you can buy that you can put your pages in to punch your holes. But I'm just using this old catalog. It gives you the V shape that you need here to put your pages down in. So you're just going to stack these all together. You're going to find your center. And I'm going to do the cover the same time. Let's see how that works. So I'm going to put my cover down. I'm going to put my pages in and adjust those where I want them. I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room as far as the edge of my cover. And you can make your cover the size that you want. You might like to have a little more overhang. I'm going to try to get this as even, so I have a little bit of extra space on either end. I like to take my bone folder and really push this down into the crevice of the book. Then I'm taking my template and I'm putting that where I want it. Pushing that down as well. And I'm going to, I think, just move that down a little bit. You can find tons of YouTube videos that show you how to do this. So I'm just going to hold this in place. And then I have like an awl pokey tool. And then I'm just going to go into those holes that I've pre-punched and push down into the center of the book. And that punches my holes through all layers of my pages and my book cover. And that's that. Now I decided I wanted, because the paper is a little more on the delicate side, it's not real heavy, I decided I'm just going to use some ribbon rather than a cording. Generally, when I do several signatures, I'll 3 times this, the size of the book. I want a little bit left over. And to make this easier, I'm just going to put this through, I have a big darning needle. And this ribbon is like a see-through kind of filmy, lightweight ribbon. So I'm just going to thread that through. And I want my ribbon to be on the outside of my book. So I'm going to start on the outside of my book. And I've got to find that first hole. I'm going to start in the center. So I'm poking that through, and then I want to find the center hole in the pages of my book. Generally, you can put them all on at the same time, but with the design of the paper, when I sprayed it, it's hard to see where I punched the hole. It's usually not this fiddly. So I'm just going to stack these one at a time. I don't want to create a second hole that I don't need. So I'm just going to carefully slide these all on my needle. these pages kind of have a mind of their own. And like I said, I did 10 pages, folded in half. That gives you 20. There we go. I'm going to pull my needle through. And I'm going to leave a tail on the outside because I want to tie that ribbon. I probably should put a piece of colored paper down here with the white ribbon and the white work mat. Can't really see my ribbon. And then you can go either in the top or in the bottom. I'm going to go into the top to find my other hole. Now when you're first making your hole, what I didn't do, and probably you could do, is just wiggle that all around a little bit and make that hole a little larger. So now when you pull that through, you want to make sure that your ribbon or your cording is flush. This got a little twisted. See, that won't work for me, so I'm going to straighten this out because I'm very anal. So I'm just twisting this around so that lays flat. I want that to lay flat. Now I'm going to come all the way back down to the bottom hole. Find that third spot. I definitely should have made my holes a little bigger, especially with the size needle that I decided to use. And you're just going to pull that back through. Of course, I want it flat on this side as well. Although curled looks kind of cute, doesn't it? Yeah. I'm going to straighten it out. Cording is a little easier to use as far as this part goes because you don't have as much to fuss with and to twist it around. Okay. And then I need to bring it back through my center again, where we started. So I'm just going to find that center hole. And pop it back through. I don't have a whole lot of strength in my hands, arthritis, so it probably would be a little easier for you to pull it through than it is for me. Now if you wanted your tails to be inside, you could tie them off in a bow or just a knot and then add something like a charm you would start from the center, the inside center, not the outside. Now here, I want that ribbon to go in between my two sides. And then you want to just make sure that everything's the way you want it before you knot it off. So I'm going to twist my ribbon again. Make sure that's nice and flush. And then I'm just going to tie a bow. Now sometimes with if I do a charm on the inside or even on the outside here, I don't want my bow to fall apart. I don't come up undone. I don't want my charm to fall off. So I usually will add a little bit of glue. Of course, now I'm having a hard time making a bow. I always make it bigger than I want and really tighten that up, and then I come back and pull it to the size that I want. And so I will take a little bit of my Mod Podge glue and I'll just put some on this knot, and that'll keep that from falling apart. It should stay together. And then I'll just trim my ribbon, my tails. Now, when I glued on my eye, I decided I just wanted the one eye on my cover. I colored it, and I just tore the edges because I didn't want it to be, I wanted it to just look rough. And I glued it down, and as it was drying, it started to buckle up a little bit, and I was very impatient. I should have flipped it over and pressed it out. But I started to rub it on the top side, and I rubbed off some of the image that I had colored. So what I'm going to do to fix that is I'm going to put a jewel that I pulled out, a little like rhinestone thing. Also, when I colored the eye, I put some Wink Stella on her eyelid. It just gives it a little sparkle. This is, I think they have them in all different kind of colors. The brand is called Wink of Stella. And when you paint that on, it doesn't give you a color, it just gives you a shimmer of glitter. Of course, I pulled out my little rhinestones, and now I can't find those. You know, let's do it this way. We'll get out another one. So this is my box of bling, I guess you could call it. I'm just looking for something. This might work. This is kind of an iridescent looking little jewel. And that'll be fine. So I'm going to take my my Mod Podge again in my little needle nose applicator, and I'm going to put a little dot of that down. And then I'm going to take my little gem and add that to the edge of her eyelid. And that will start to set up really in a few minutes. And that's pretty much it. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to package this up, include one of my pens, one of my Mermaid pens. And here we have, let me zoom out a little bit. And here we have our little mermaid journal with a cute little bow. And then we've got 20 pages to journal or to add pictures or whatever you want. And there you have it. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.